Let's, in the meantime, top of the hour, let's get you the updates that are coming in, what Pakistan has been up to. Urging the Prime Ministers of both countries to take meaningful and sustained dialogue and steps towards restoring peace, normalcy and cooperation. A group of over 100 prominent citizens from India and Pakistan have called for an end to continued hostility, which they say is depriving millions of young people on both sides of opportunities, prosperity and a secure future. Now, they have been seeking restoration of full diplomatic relations and the reinstatement of the High Commissioners in New Delhi and Islamabad, in addition to the resumption of normal visa services of the citizens of both countries. Now, let's in the meantime connect with Sahil on this. So, Sahil, have we forgotten Operation Sindoor as far as these eminent personalities who all are there, who seem to be now writing and indicating that they want, when it comes to normalcy between relations of two neighbors?
Well, first of all, this open letter was in fact written and in fact signed by both sides, and over 117 in fact citizens, mostly politicians from India and Pakistan, have written this letter and addressed to both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Pakistan Shahbaz Sharif. They are basically demanding that both the countries must come forward and end the hostility in South Asian region. What is important is that in this letter it's mentioned that both the sides should resume dialogue and revisit the framework that was negotiated between India and Pakistan between 2004 and 2007 on Jammu and Kashmir. This is something that these, in fact, what they called concerned group of citizens have mentioned in the letter. Apart from demanding people-to-people contact, reopening of trade units between India and Pakistan, between Jammu and Kashmir and in fact POJK. They have also demanded that the cultural links and in fact the press freedom be ensured on both sides. The journalists from India be allowed to travel to Pakistan and vice versa. So this letter has been in fact written, and on top of it is Jammu and Kashmir National Conference Chief Farooq Abdullah, Separatist leader Mirwaiz Umar Farooq and PDP Chief Mehbooba Mufti. The letter was released by Center of Peace and Progress, which is headed by former diplomat O.P. Sharma in India, and they have in fact former diplomats on the other side who have signed this letter. There have been in fact reports coming in from last few weeks, and in fact media reports suggesting that track to diplomat in fact channels are active, and in fact talks are happening, informal talks are happening. Although the Ministry of
with retired Lieutenant General Asad Mistry joining us here on the broadcast, as well as Sahil continues to be with us. Sir, good morning. What is your opinion? Because these are certain eminent personalities, sir, that they want the dialogue to resume between India and Pakistan. For what purposes, sir?
Well, India's stance is very clear. You know, it is talks and terror cannot go together.
Correct, sir.
India has always been for peace with Pakistan. The peace initiatives have always been started or initiated by India. But what have we got in return? Okay, this group of distinguished people want us to go back to the stage of 2004 to 2007. What happened in 2008? You had 26/11. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi came into power, for his swearing in, he went out of his way to invite the Pak Prime Minister. Thereafter, he went out of the way to visit Pakistan, went to attend a function at Nawaz Sharif's house. What do we get? We get Pathankot and Uri in return. So, the disruption to the peace process is always by a terrorist strike from Pakistan. And we know who controls them. It is the deep state. It is the Pakistan army. It is a Pakistan army that is not desirous of having peaceful and harmonious relationship. That is the bottom line of it. If they want to have peace with India, by all means, most welcome. Stop the support to terror. That's it. It's very simple.
Absolutely, and that, sir, is the very identity of Pakistan, to which certain of these eminent personalities that they would like to call themselves seems to be forgetting. And they are now talking about, prosperity of a secure future. What secure future can India have with, restoring full diplomatic relations and reinstatement of high commissioners, especially when it comes to normalcy in visa services, is something that they have now been asking as far as this letter is concerned. Mr. Sir, appreciate you joining us here on the broadcast. Sahil, we'll talk about how desperate Pakistan really is, because do we forget how recently they hosted the so-called international conference warning that no world order in paper will remain if secure Indus water treaty fails. I mean, the minister has been issuing threats that they would chop off those hands who tried to shop waters to Pakistan.
Well, certainly after Operation Sindoor, we had seen, in fact, Government of India putting this Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, and it has really, in fact, given, painful days to Pakistan. And just, in fact, 2 days back or yesterday, there was this international conference where, in fact, China, its diplomats were also in attendance, speaking and, in fact, about this Indus Water Treaty, threatening and, in fact, at the same time, wanting a negotiation with India over this Indus Water Treaty. So it's something which is really painful for Pakistan, given the situation that there are, in fact, areas which are very, very dependent on, in fact, the Indian basin river system. But India has made it very clear that terror and talks cannot go together. Blood and water cannot flow together. And that's what basically is the policy of Government of India at this point in time. The foreign, secretary had also made it clear that the reports coming on the track to diplomacy, meetings, informal meetings or such letters do not have any value.
Quickly take through, viewers, as far as their names are now concerned, of these so-called eminent personalities, as to why they have been now seeking resumption and resolving issues between India and Pakistan, where India has successfully managed to isolate Pakistan on a global stage, and no longer India and Pakistan can be hyphenated. Now, this is, as far as the list is concerned, topping the Indian signatories are Dr. Farooq Abdullah. There is a separatist leader, Mirwais Omar Farooq, former Chief Minister of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, Mehbooba Mufti. Then comes Mani Shankar Iyer, Professor Manoj Jha, A.S. Dullah, Jawahar Sircar, and these seems to be amongst those many names that seems to be a part of this list, that they are now urging the prime ministers of both countries to take meaningful and sustained steps towards restoring peace and normalcy, dialogue and cooperation. And this seems to be a group of 100 prominent citizens coming in from both India and Pakistan. This is the Indian side of the citizens who seems to continue wanting that the hostilities end, which they say, according to them, is depriving millions of young people of both sides of opportunities and a prosperity of a secure future. But are they forgetting when it comes to Pakistan's rightful identity? Yes, it may be working as far as a puppet for the United States of America is concerned, rightly so, as far as they seems to be boasting the role of a so-called mediator between US-Iran talks. But these individuals are of the opinion that if two warring sides such as United States and Iran can come to a table and talk about peace, then why not India and Pakistan? Let's in the meantime talk about what does this letter say. Saying that, respected prime ministers, I'm quoting from that letter, saying that we, the undersigned citizens, respectfully urge the governments of India and Pakistan to take meaningful, sustained steps towards restoring peace, normalcy, dialogue and cooperation in South Asia. India and Pakistan together are home of nearly 1/5 of humanity. A large proportion of our population is young. Continued hostility deprives millions of young people of opportunities, prosperity and a secure future. And the people of both countries deserve a future defined by peace, development and connectivity and cooperation, rather than perpetual misfront and confrontation. Who's exactly leading this mistrust and confrontation? They need to be aware of the reality. Now, decades of estrangement has hindered our collective potential and imposed significant social, economic and human costs. We believe that sustained engagement and dialogue remain the only viable path to resolving differences and building a stable and prosperous region. We therefore respectfully urge you to consider the following confidence-building measures, especially that includes immediate diplomatic measures of restoring full diplomatic relations and reinstating the High Commissioners in New Delhi and in Islamabad, and also resuming normal visa services for citizens of both countries. Now, this is where when it comes to the India-Pakistan relations, that it hit its lowest post the Pahalgam incident, and also when it comes to both diplomatically and militarily how operations were carried out. But in the meantime, when we speak of Pakistan's side, because this is what the nature of Pakistan that seems to be exposed, and this seems to be conveniently ignored by the so-called eminent citizens. Pakistan's former Foreign Minister and National Assembly Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs chairperson Hina Rabbani Bilawal has raised strong objections over India's approach to the Indus Water Treaty. Now, Indus Water Treaty, which she has now questioned its compliance with the international agreements. Citing Article 12 of the treaty, she argues that no country acting as a responsible member of the global world order would unilaterally walk away from such commitments. Such is the kind of a response that is now coming in from a former minister coming in from Pakistan's side. However, remember, as far as Indus Water Treaty is concerned, it was immediately put in abeyance post the Pahalgam terror attack. Let's connect with Akansha Swarup, also joining us here on the broadcast. Akansha, good morning. Is a reality check that is needed both for Pakistan and these so-called eminent personalities, especially when it comes to the current status that Pakistan seems to be believing that its position has been elevated by playing the so-called rolled over mediator, and that is why it needs to have these talks and dialogues to resolve when it comes to the issues between the two warring sides, which is also India and Pakistan.
Right, Amita, very good morning to you and our viewers as well. But remember, Hina Rabbani Khan, in fact, needs a reminder at the moment that India suspended the Indus Water Treaty of 1960 with Pakistan a day after at least 26 people were killed in the Pahalgam terror attack. The Ministry of External Affairs had in fact announced that terror and talks will not go hand in hand. And so it has not just had an economic impact on the psyche of Pakistan, but also with the psychology of the people of Pakistan, because remember, it is the waters of the Indus water that in fact flow into Punjab that have in fact been very beneficial for the farmers till this treaty had been suspended. And now Pakistan is genuinely feeling the pinch of India's stern and very strong action. For the longest time, India did not suspend this treaty, and despite the continuous terror attacks on Indian soil, we had kept this treaty going. But it was only after the Pahalgam terror attack that India had to resort to such a measure. And as we can see, what's happening to Pakistan, a country that's already on an austerity drive, they have been, in fact, their economy has been spiraling out. They are on IMF bailout packages at the moment. They can feel the pinch. So if Hina Rabbani Khan or even the Deputy Prime Minister...
Well, Akansha, apologies, have to interrupt you. I'm told that Major General Dhruv Katoch is also joining us here on the broadcast. So let me just quickly take an opinion from his side. Sir, good morning. When we take a look as far as the recalibration that has happened so far, post the abrogation of Article 370, and of course, when it comes to the Indus Water Treaty that has now been put in abeyance, can you trace how intricate canal network system has become an ongoing geopolitical chessboard between India and Pakistan, and why is it necessary that India maintains the stand that blood and water cannot flow together?
Thank you so much and good morning. Firstly, I think this treaty, as has already been stated, has been very lopsided. And I'm surprised that we have allowed it to exist for so long. This should have been abrogated. I'm not even talking about being held in abeyance. It should have been abrogated many decades ago. That being said, this treaty, there is no upper riparian I have seen in anywhere in the world which has such a treaty with a lower riparian and gives them all the water which they are not even entitled to. So, one, the treaty was unfair and it has very rightly been held in abeyance. I hope the government goes one step further and abrogates it completely. Number two, when this treaty was made, there was supposed to be an element of good faith on both sides. Pakistan has violated that good faith by carrying out terrorist activities on India over the past 4 to 5 decades. Now, despite all that, I think India has kept tremendous patience over the years, but now that patience is exhausted. As far as Hina Rabbani is concerned, she's made a statement that this is a treaty which has to be respected. No, there is no such a blanket thing that any treaty has to be respected. This treaty, there is no reason at all why India has to respect this treaty, and there is no third party involved.
Absolutely,
Pakistan also is trying to...
Because India simply withheld the data to give across to Pakistan because it seems to be in a desperate need, because Pakistan actually needs this treaty far more than actually India does. And that is where, there is a disparity. Nearly 80% of Pakistan irrigated agriculture depends on the Indus system. Thank you very much, Katochra, for your point of view. I'm told that Major General Sanjay Meston, sir, is also connected with us. Sir, do you believe that this is all Pakistan's saber rattling? When it comes to the treaty's continuation, that was actually in Pakistan's interest, regardless of Islamabad's radical posturing.
Yeah, good morning. Absolutely right. See, let me be very clear. Pakistan is that country which can never be trusted. If they are talking about the, Indus Water Treaty, then let me remind them that as per the Kashmir agreement, they were supposed to pull back from the entire J&K. This is our territory. And let me also tell you that India believes in one thing very clear. Our Prime Minister and the diplomacy, we believe in dialogue and diplomacy. But we do dialogue and diplomacy with people who respect dialogue and diplomacy, not with those people who are terrorists, who resort to terrorism. Here is their army chief who has been making a statement always, two-nation theory and Hindus and Muslims are separate. How can we have dialogue with such kind of people? Number two, if you recollect, Prime Minister, that time Atal Bihari Vajpayee had also been to Lahore bus yatra.
Yes, sir.
And what happened in return? The Pakistan army under Musharraf backstabbed India and Kargil. So this is their record, and we shall never do ever this dialogue and diplomacy, and we are very, very clear. Terror and talks cannot go together. India is very clear, and Pakistan, unfortunately, with whom do we have a dialogue? They don't have a system. The system is run by the ISI and the army chief, who's the terrorist himself. So we cannot have dialogue, and whatever Hina Rabbani is studying is all nonsense. We cannot have a dialogue with a country which is always propagating terrorism, and they have fallen back on all their treaties. If you remember, when Prime Minister of India had taken his, when he was being sworn in as a Prime Minister in the first term, he had called all the neighboring countries, including Nawaz Sharif that time. Again, what happened? So they have got a track record that that these politicians over there are controlled by the Pakistan army and the Pakistan ISI, and therefore we cannot have all this double standards with Pakistan. We are
and we've been stabbed in the back once too many times as far as with, having that kind of Pakistan, faith in Pakistan is something which is no longer a viable option for us. Thank you very much, Meston, sir, for your point of view, because the treaty that had concluded in the spirit and the goodwill and the friendship between the two sides that they once shared, Pakistan, which has now held those principles in abeyance through its own sponsorship of terrorism for decades, and India has now responded in kind that the treaty would remain in abeyance until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjured its support, especially when it comes to cross-border terrorism. Thank you very much to you, Akansha, as well, for joining us here on the broadcast. We'll continue to get you more reactions on this big story. In the meantime,